So when this comes out, it had already been announced about the whole Derek Chauvin thing. I'm gonna be honest. Every time I see his name, I'm like, is it Chauvin? Chauvin? Derek Chauvin? Derek, whatever. Who gives a fuck?
It's in jail.
it's in jail.
Yeah.
So I know that we've talked about stuff like that in the past, and I know that it's still obviously something that needs to be discussed by bigger and better brains than ours. We've already kind of laid out how we feel about everything pertaining to BLM and police reform or abolishing the police or what have you. So we're not going to waste your time rehashing those things and trying to sparse out every intricate detail. And we did that already.
Yeah. And we unfortunately have a lot of opportunities to talk about such things.
Exactly.
So.
And honestly, at this point, dude, if we spent time delving into all of that stuff, we could do it weekly. So if you are curious, we recorded a BLM episode where we tried to get into it as much as we could, and that's, you could just go back, search that episode. That was before, it's not on YouTube, but you can listen to the audio of that. And then for the subsequent episodes after that, we still had to talk about it because it was it's something that's ongoing. So if you are curious about how we feel, go back and listen to those, and that'll give us listens, and we need those.
Thank you.
So go back and
please
listen to those. Otherwise, let's get into some fun stuff.
Yay.
So before we proceed any further, we've had this beer for a couple of weeks now, and I knew that we were going to do it this week, and I'm so excited.
Me too.
So, Obi, please tell the people what we're drinking tonight. But calm down. I know
Just so excited.
I know. We're getting into it.
We've got the BLARGG.
The BLARGG.
This is from Tactical Brewing and Point Ybel Brewing Company, brewed in Orlando. This is a lava chocolate cake Imperial Stout conditioned on chocolate and vanilla. It's a 13%, 500 milliliter. Wow. Let's just restart.
So without further ado, my name is Marco. That is Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
What's up, Brewskis?
And this is episode 308 of the One Beer In podcast.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where I fit in.
That they were like they like had protocol or procedure for it.
Probably. I mean,
because like what if you're doing like a Will Smith, he don't want me man take, and then you just hear in the back.
I think that is like a moment they'd have to cut. Like they'd have to cut and they'd have to redo the scene.
God, man, I understand how frustrated Will Smith would be.
Yeah.
How come he don't want me, man?
Sorry.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, you just hear him.
Sorry.
Or
sorry about that. That's right, kids. This is the One Beer and Podcast, the podcast where two brews crack open a brew, and we see where that one brew takes us. Clink it up, and let's get into this bitch. Oh, wow. Decadent. I feel like I'm going to start drooling.
I know.
Do you think it's best to pair like a sweet thing with like a sweet beer if you were going for, or would you, because we were having this talk at Redlight everybody was like,
Wow, humble brag.
yeah, I mean, that's where we got this hat, this cute little Underberg hat. I also sold the most Underbergs, if we're bragging.
Did
again.
you?
I did.
Wow, good job.
So here's what happened. So we had a competition at Redlight to see who could sell the most Underbergs. And if you don't know what this is, they're basically little digestifs that you have before or after a meal or after a big night of drinking. And it just kind of helps calm everything down. It literally helps you digest the meal and or drink, and it just makes you feel a little less bloated. It's this herbal essence, basically.
Yeah,
it's literally defined as like herbal oils, and it's a bitter.
Yeah,
but when I looked it up, it was like herbal. It's like classified as herbal oils and essence and whatnot. So it's a cool thing. It's a big deal with like beer bars and stuff like that. And we had a competition to see who could sell the most. And I walk in, and one of the other bartenders, she crushing, just absolutely. She got all the regulars. Anytime a regular, just she pounced on them.
Yeah.
And so me and the other guy, we're thinking like, there's no way we're catching her. It's not happening. So Robin comes in with Rel. You were already there.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I'm glad because I meant to text Nicole about this because you guys helped me. So first, you guys are there.
Happy to.
You guys got a couple of them, and that was awesome. You happy to?
Yeah.
Hey, was that your first time having one?
Yeah.
Really?
It was. Yeah. As much of a beer guy as I am, I'd always seen them around. I always assumed that they were just like an additive or something that you would put to like add into a drink.
Yeah. Well, when I was looking them up, you can do that.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people using them in mixed drinks.
I think I've seen people do that with like German beers and just add to it.
So you guys came in, you did the duty because it's not good. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah,
it's not good.
It tastes medicinal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I describe it as Jägermeister meets pine cones or pine needles. It's not. Yeah. I mean, if that sounds appetizing to you, more power to you. So you guys came in, you had yours, and that was good. That got me in the game. Then Rob and Rel come in, and I told them about it, and they took the first two, and then they were like, "Well, how far are you behind?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm getting dusted. She's crushing us." I'm like, "All right, let me get 10." and then Rel was like, "Yeah, let me get 10." So they bought 20 at just right there.
Oh my god!
So that shot me up into second place because she was doing that well. That didn't help.
Yeah,
or it did help, but didn't get me ahead of her. They do that, which was dope. I bag them up. I didn't even open them up. I just gave them the boxes that they came in. Just put them in a bag and was like, "Yeah, take that home." So we still have those at the house.
Nice.
Then at the end of the night, this drunk dude comes in. He comes over from Big Daddy's, stumbles in. We're talking about it. I'm shooting the shit with him, and I tell him, "Yeah, we're having this competition. I'm only like 4 or 5 away," and he's like, "Only 4 or 5 away, you say?" All right, let me get 6 of them. And I was like, word? Everybody's telling me that like I shouldn't have sold them to him. As if he was going to crack them open and just start dropping them into his mouth right then and there.
I was going to mention that to you. It may not be the best thing to admit selling more alcohol to a drunk guy.
Okay, all right. He didn't stumble in off the street with like his shirt half open. Yeah, he was I mean, I served him a beer.
Yeah.
He was still like with us.
He was there.
Yeah. I mean,
he had the stink of Big Daddy's on him.
Yes, he walked in talking about it, so I knew he had at least been drinking over there.
Yeah.
And he was one of those. He was like a boy. I hope he doesn't listen to this. He was just like a. He told me what did he do for a living? I think he flipped houses. And if you can imagine a guy on like a Thursday night with like a blazer. But a polo under the blazer,
okay, yeah.
Who flips houses,
right?
And he goes to Big Daddy's, and then he stumbles into Red Light. Like, just imagine that guy.
Yeah.
That's who that was.
Okay.
And so he copped like the last 6. Didn't do him right then and there, and I only gave him 1 beer, guys. Yeah. Everyone on my case.
We should say the Underbergs are wrapped and have a top on them and stuff. So
I'm a responsible bartender.
There
guys.
you go.
I am. I really am. I take the job very seriously. Probably too seriously, some would say. So yeah, that pushed me over. That pushed me over the edge. So I won, and we sent off all the caps and shit. And we got these hats. We got a little truck thing.
Yeah, I saw the truck.
Thing. That's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope. So
very good.
Mm-hmm.
That's surprising. I was going to ask you about that because I remember when you came in, you were like, "There's no way."
Yeah,
there is no way I can ever catch up.
Well, I wasn't going. I mean, if it wasn't for, literally those 3 interactions, that was it. Because in between those, it didn't happen. So if it wasn't for that I was gonna get destroyed.
Yeah. By
the way, still haven't got those donuts. You know who you are, and you know what you owe. And you're going to pay me what you owe.
Okay.
In donuts.
Mm-hmm.
You got information on the BLARGG?
Not much more than we have already, unfortunately. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of info other than a few reviews on Untapped. Mm-hmm. We don't usually do this, but Untapped reviews a 4.31, in case you're curious.
Yeah, I wonder, should we start incorporating that? Just letting people know what it is? No, we're a review show. We don't need to put everybody else's shit out there.
That's true.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
You want to know about Untapped? Fuck you too. No, go to Untapped and then come back here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll obviously get into that at the end of the show, but shout out to Tactical Brewing Company and Point Ybel for the collab. I got this from Tactical though, so they're doing a lot of cool collabs.
Yeah,
they have that, and then they have the Lincoln's Beard one, and then we'll get the Lincoln's Beard one because I just like that label. I don't even know what the beer is.
I haven't seen.
Have you seen the? Oh, okay. It's. I won't even describe it. I'll just get the beer.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So what do we have on deck, my friend? What are we doing? What are we talking about?
Let's see.
Let me get comfortable.
Okay, yeah. Settle in. It's okay. We're here for a good time.
Yeah.
Sometimes a long time.
Sometimes a long time. I don't know if we have the tech for it.
No. So, how would you feel if you were watching Scarface next time and suddenly there was the Goodyear blimp comes over and instead it says 1-800-CONTACTS? That affect your viewing experience?
It might a little bit.
Because that's exactly what John T. Bloom of BBC.com is reporting about. Apparently that's the new tech that people are talking about that allows it to be way easier to add advertisements to your favorite movies and TV.
I mean, if we haven't hit the limits of capitalism yet, I don't know when we will.
I pose this question to you because, essentially that's what this article is saying is that, obviously there's technology out there to digitally add in products and billboards and things like that. And they've already been doing that to like modern movies where, after production, Coca-Cola steps in. It's like, yeah, we'll throw you an extra couple milli if you put a Coke can in there, and they just digitally add one in.
Yeah.
Not super hard to do.
Digitally adding and removing stuff has been a pretty common practice for a while
a long time. But what if you were able to get free access to a movie if you had like an edited version with new ads in it? Instead of like mid-roll ads, there'd just be like a Coke can in the background.
Interesting.
Because I could see that potentially working. Because what they're talking about in this article doesn't go that far. They just basically talk about exactly what I said. Like if you're watching one of your favorite movies and all of a sudden you notice this digitally added product, I think it would be easier to swallow if, as a consumer, you got either a discount or got to watch the thing for free. And instead of there being an ad in the middle of it or, every 10 minutes, you just had these products interspersed throughout the thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. So like if you're watching it on TNT, instead of like if it's commercial free, but the commercials are just in the movie itself now.
Yeah. There's Tide Pods in the background.
Here's the thing. product placement has never bothered me. It just doesn't. I don't. It doesn't, to me, take away from the story at all.
Yeah.
And in my personal opinion, I know you shouldn't say in my personal. It is my opinion, so I don't need to preface it with that. But I'm just saying, anytime I watch a movie, if I see, like, you can notice it, obviously, right? They're drinking Pepsi, and then you see a Pepsi on their counter,
holding it like this.
Yeah, like that's.
Oh, this is so good.
It's obvious, but it doesn't bother me. I know that there's people out there who, you know, the capitalism aspect of it and just the obvious nature of it will pull them out of the story. But as long as it's something that makes sense, like this thing where they're talking about going back and adding it to classic movies, that could be troublesome if you know, a Starbucks can is in or a cup is in a movie from like the 50s or 60s, obviously. But they wouldn't do that because that's just ridiculous, and you would have to face a firestorm of controversy over that. It's just not worth the trouble.
Yeah, and I think it gets a little sticky when you're talking about not only like artist integrity, obviously, like, you know, you're commoditizing this thing that was created without that in it, but more of the thing of like a lot of, especially like older movies, the people who made these things are long gone. So to have, you know, I don't know, any old actor drinking a product that like maybe they wouldn't have aligned with necessarily ethically, or maybe even the opposite. Maybe the some people, there can be a backlash because you're having an old actor or even a character that, you know, is a bad guy drinking a product or using a product that the audience is not going to go, well, I don't like Coca-Cola anymore because Tony Montana was drinking it.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's interesting.
He does regular Coke. Especially
no, he does the Coca-Cola. That real shit. Not that classic recipe. That's interesting only because, like, when you're talking about would an actor, like, there's a not a very famous story, but that story of it went viral a couple weeks ago, and it was David Fincher on the director's commentary track of Gone Girl, and he's talking about Ben Affleck's character. Did you see this?
Yes.
So he's talking about Ben Affleck's character, and at one point he's trying to be incognito, and he puts on a hat. It's a Mets hat. And the story behind that is David Fincher wanted it to be a Yankees hat.
Right.
And Ben Affleck was like,
no way.
No fucking way.
Nope. Can't do it.
And I'm on Ben Affleck's side.
Yeah, as a Yankees fan, I respect it, honestly.
He was like, look, dude, my image, with all due respect, is bigger than this character's choice.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what the hat is. And David Fincher, the way he was like, he was being unprofessional. It's like, dude, they had to stop production for 3 days over this hat thing.
They played chicken over it, basically.
And then finally came to an agreement on a Mets hat. And it's like, dude, you're the director. You're supposed to keep the train on the tracks.
Yeah.
You obviously don't give in to every single demand of your crybaby A-list superstars, but this just seems like a fight that wasn't worth it.
He's famously like that, though.
Yeah.
You know, he's very particular, especially after what happened with Alien 3, where, you know, his baby was kind of stripped from him.
Yeah, and then cut to pieces.
Yeah.
Still, though,
it's a bit much.
If the star of the movie is like, I don't want to wear that hat, I'll just wear a different hat.
Yeah.
And the irony of it all is that he wasn't from New York. The character was from, like, Missouri.
Yeah. It didn't
So
even
he wouldn't
matter.
have even worn a Yankees hat. He would have worn, like, a Kansas City Royals hat or something.
Well, you don't know his thinking. Maybe he was thinking, well, this character wants to be super incognito and wants to have, like, the most common logo on a baseball cap.
Yeah.
So let's go Yankees.
But then why not, like, some people have made this argument because he was, I guess, at an airport in the movie, and it's like, if he bought a hat at the gift shop of an airport, It wouldn't have been a
yeah,
Yankees
it'd
hat.
be the local hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been like some or an I Love New York hat.
Where does that movie even take place? I honestly haven't seen it.
New York, I think. I think some parts of it are in New York, and then some parts are.
That
but what I'm
explains
saying,
it,
but what I'm saying is, he was in the airport. He wasn't just somewhere.
Sure, he could have gotten any touristy,
Exactly.
New York hat.
If you go to the Orlando International, they don't have a bunch of magic hats.
Gear, yeah.
They have like Disney shit, and they have like welcome to Florida shit and all that stuff. You have to go to a magic like gift shop area.
Yeah,
They don't just have magic hats, and especially not like expensive nice hats.
Right.
And they don't put the magic logo on some like bullshit dad hat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like those hats are expensive. So he wouldn't have just gone, especially as a guy as a sports fan, he would not have spent $30 on a fucking Yankees hat when he's not even from
I
New
know
York.
I'm in hiding, but too much.
Yeah, no, it's just yeah, so it's but anyway, I bring that up because it's to your point. It is important to keep that in mind. Like, if an actor famously didn't drink Sprite and hated the company, and then you see them in a movie drinking it, it's like you kind of have to explain that choice. Yeah. As bad as it is artistically, actors and actresses sometimes are larger than the material that they're in.
Yeah.
And they have an image to uphold. And, not everybody's going to be Daniel Day-Lewis and immerse themselves in the role. There's going to be people who are like, look, man, when this shit is over, I'm still Ben Affleck. Like, I still have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And
or Tom Cruise. Or...
Yeah. And every year he would have to deal with that meme of Ben Affleck, noted Boston guy, noted Red Sox fan, putting on a Yankees hat. Literally every time the Yankees beat the Red Sox, that meme would pop up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There'd be a gif of him putting the hat on.
He would have to deal with that every year.
Smart. I mean, he was looking around the corner when he decided not to do that.
Yes, it was very smart.
Yeah.
I commend him for it, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, to your point, that's interesting. That brings up that's an aspect of it that I didn't even think about, of what it would mean to the actors in the movie, not the characters. Because when I look at product placement, I always look at it as there is a portion of it that is pretty obviously the money making thing that it is.
It's advertising.
Yeah, but the other thing is, as long as it works within the universe, I don't care.
Yeah.
So if it's a modern city and there's Mountain Dew everywhere, there is Mountain Dew everywhere. Like that's not. It just doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I get when it's something that hits close to home, where it's a movie, maybe like a producer, like one of the developers, not a fucking video game, but like producers or if it was like here's a good example. Okay. Anytime you watch a Spider-Man movie, everything that they use is Sony.
Yeah.
Every product, even though there's going to be some iPhones laying around, buddy. Yeah. So that kind of
We're
shit.
in high school in 2020.
Right. And everyone has a Sony HTC or whatever the fuck. It's like, no fucking way.
Sure thing.
No fucking way.
Let me whip out my Sony Vaio.
Nobody has an Apple laptop. Nobody?
Nope.
No? No one's got an HP. Nope. Everyone has Sony laptops. That kind of shit that's the only time. It doesn't rip me out of the movie, but it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, you notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. This thing, the only thing that bothers me about it is it scares me about what is going to happen with movies in the future, where we're going to get to a point where movies will just be these malleable things that, if a director like, George Lucas or something, like 10 years later, he's like, you know what? I have a different feeling about the movie, and the plot just changes because you can go back and rearrange things. And
the cheaper and easier that visual effects get, I think the more we'll see that kind of endless tinkering on movies.
What do you think, though?
I mean, I'm a snob, so I hate it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kind of with you, though. Like, most of the time, product placement doesn't bother me too much. It's only when it's like when it becomes obtrusive of the story. In the worst of cases, when they're like, oh, this Snickers candy bar is the reason why we're solving this mystery. know? Even
like the ET thing,
Reese's piece, like that sucks. It sucks. It does.
It does.
It makes sense in the terms of the movie, but it's still like, oh, it's a branded Reese's Pieces candy. So that's when it bothers me. But specifically about them going back and doing this, I don't know. It feels like it's not quite as bad as like, throwing a dead actor in CG into something, or doing like the rubber faces and stuff like that.
That rubber face shit really gets your goat, man.
It's maybe the biggest axe I'm grinding in modern cinema.
Yeah.
I
get it.
Until you can do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Please stop. But yeah, I think it's not quite on par with completely de-aging a character with a fake face that doesn't look real, or having a long dead actor be in your movie through CG and another voice actor literally like puppeting their corpse.
Yeah.
It's not quite on that level, but it's close. Like we're inching towards that with this, where we're adding stuff to movies of that the director's dead, the writers are dead, the actors are dead. I don't know how I feel about that. Like these original creators aren't here to say like, don't massacre my baby.
Yeah.
And we're just going, we're going to anyway.
My boy.
You know why? Money.
Yeah.
That's why.
No, yeah. I mean, and the only reason I even entertained it was because of the idea that you said, which was that if it's between enjoying the movie, no commercials, just watching the movie as it was intended almost, and the trade-off is there's going to be some empty Coca-Cola cans laying around.
Right.
I'll take that trade-off.
Yeah.
But
it could almost be fun. You can make it like a drinking game.
Yeah, how many times you can spot
notice
one?
it, yeah.
I mean, but no, you're right when it comes to, and I'm big on, for better or for worse, I want to see the artistic vision. I don't care if you can improve it by doing this, that, and the other thing. I want to know what the auteur was going for. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm so big on listening to albums. I don't like playlists unless it's like a party or whatever.
Sure.
I don't like playlists. I like sitting down and listening to the OG. This is what the artist wanted. I hate deluxe versions. I hate special editions. I hate re-releases.
Hitting random.
I hate hitting random. I hate all of that shit, dude.
Yeah.
I hate all of it. Even when I've listened to an album 1,000 times and I know every song, I can't skip to my favorite song. I have to listen to the whole thing because I just like that this is how they intended it to be listened to.
The progression.
Yeah. And especially when an artist takes advantage of this is how it should be listened to, as opposed to like, well, here's 15 singles and hopefully 2 or 3 of them pop. That's even better because it's like you had a literal vision for this. That's why concept albums are like just the fucking greatest. Mm-hmm. And same thing with movies. It's like I want to see the vision, the artistic vision. So when you go back and you tamper with that, especially just to grind more money out of a thing, obviously it's gross. But I don't want to just kick this out of, I don't want to just kick this argument before like exploring it a little bit. Sure. Like your idea is not a bad idea if that's how they frame it. Most likely they won't.
No, because that takes away some of their money.
You're right.
So
right. Why stop the ads when you can just add the ads to the movie and keep the ads?
Yeah. Why not both?
Right.
Yeah. So but on the other hand, I feel like both of those together is going to lead to people going, I'm not going to even bother.
Yeah.
So, but.
Well, when's the last time you watched a movie on TV, dude?
Never.
No, it's awful.
It's been so long, yeah.
Well, we were watching, what's the fucking earthquake movie with The Rock? San Andreas.
San Andreas, yeah.
We watched
like a half hour of
it. Yeah, it was terrible.
and realized we'd only seen maybe 15 minutes of the actual movie.
Exactly. We're sitting there, I'm dozing off, and we realize, like, there's still so much movie left.
This is suddenly a 3-hour movie. Great.
Dude, can you remember watching, like, The Godfather on AMC?
I was just going to bring it up.
No, it's a half a day.
The reason why they play it for literally a full 24 hours is because that's one viewing of it on TV.
Insane. You want to watch this? All right.
All right.
You're gonna sit through this.
Might read the book faster. I don't know.
Oh, they put out the part 3.
Yeah.
The coda.
I heard about it. I'm waiting for them to put it out on 4K because I'm that bitch.
God, I hate you so much. Why do you need to see it in 4K? It's a movie that came out in 1990.
What are you gonna do? I have the capability to, Marco. That's why.
Yeah.
I need it in 4K.
Are they gonna? Is that like a thing?
I'm sure. Everything comes to 4K eventually.
That's true. Even if it doesn't belong there.
I know.
We're gonna high res this bitch.
I would love to.
We're gonna just crank it.
Actually, older movies look better a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because they're taking, if they're doing it right, from the actual film negative. So you get more detail out of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. They just did that with a movie. Oh, fuck. I don't remember. It'll come to me. But they just did that with a movie in it, and they were like, this is one of those times where it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And it needed to be bumped up.
I mean, even the Criterion Collection stuff, that as like bougie as it is, like it's worth it for the transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at what they were dealing with before the Criterion and after, 9 times out of 10, it's like it's a whole new world, baby.
Oh, that's what it was. It was Thief on the Criterion Collection.
Yeah.
I was listening to the Rewatchables talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah. And they were talking about how like that they bumped it up the 4K, like just it because Michael Mann is such a visionary director. The way that he's like, the way that each frame is almost like a still.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, whether this is a movie or I'm just watching still, the framing of it is, and they're talking about it. It made me, I was remembering watching it, just being like, because like sometimes I'll watch a movie and just be so enthralled with the plot and the acting that I'll miss some stuff like that. Cinematography sometimes will go over my head. I'll have to watch a movie again and really take in like how beautiful
it's not a bad thing.
How well it's shot.
It is kind of meant for it to wash over you in the moment when you're watching it for the first time. So.
Yeah, that's true, and it pulls you in without you don't even think about how you're being pulled in.
Yeah.
You just know that
you're meant
to
be manipulated by it.
But when I'm thinking about the framing of Thief, and just the framing of like most Michael Mann movies, like how he does things. Like there's that shot where where he's walking through the used car lot, and all those cars, and it feels
lights.
like the cars are going for like miles, and how the light washes on them and how clean they are. They're just glistening, and it's just a beautifully shot tracking shot where he's walking, and you're just like, God damn, that looks good, and shit like that, man. Yeah, so can you imagine if it's tracking and then like in the background is like a Mountain Dew soda machine that wasn't there before?
Code Red. you hear a whisper in there. Code Red.
Or just flashes on the screen, just red. It just cracks off camera, and you're just like, what was that? Fuck, now I want a Mountain Dew. I don't know why.
That's weird. Really weird.
Strange. Yeah.
I was gonna say though, you said a magic word. 2 words actually. Artistic integrity. Speaking of, I heard you recently watched an anime with much artistic integrity.
Much artistic integrity.
Yes.
Pretty much chock full of it.
Yeah.
So this anime came to Netflix like what, a year and a half ago,
Something
maybe?
like that, yeah.
And it was a big deal because it's the first time that an American company was able to license it out, and the first time that it was on streaming, right? Neon Genesis Evangelion. And if you're an anime nerd, you probably have like you had a physical reaction to hearing that. If you're one of those people that's like into anime, but you're a Naruto, fucking Attack on Titan kind of kid, hey man, more power to you. But I would suggest going back and watching the classics. This is what really bothers my sister about this, because she's big anime, she's big weeb.
Of course.
And she gets upset with me because I don't want to sit down and watch, 800 episodes of some modern anime. I like the classics. I like the fact that these animators and these directors, they had an artistic vision. And they said, here's 26 episodes. Deal with it.
You like the limited series kind of.
Yes,
anime.
1000%. Those are my favorite. I do not like sitting
not
through
the shonens.
Yeah. And even like imagine if Dragon Ball Z stopped at imagine if I was going to say the Cell Saga, but imagine
You said that with bated breath.
I know.
The Cell
The
Saga.
Cell Saga. Imagine if Dragon Ball Z was just the Saiyan Saga and then the Frieza Saga, and that was it. Once he figured out the ability to go Super Saiyan, and he defeats Frieza, that's the end of the show. That's a masterpiece anime. That's a 10 out of 10, no flaws anime.
Yeah.
Because it's a beautifully done story. His brother comes back from space, shows up, and he's like, yo, what the fuck? Why didn't you take over this planet? He's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
Then he reminds him of who he is. They kick his ass. But you don't know he's got backup. Backup comes. They kick their ass. Now we've got to get the Dragon Balls back to get our hero, who only at this point has died the one time.
Yeah. So it matters.
So it matters.
Right.
They gather all they go to this new planet, gather all the Dragon Balls, bring him back. His best friend dies. That matters because they can't bring him back.
Yeah.
He goes Super Saiyan, which everyone thought was a legend and couldn't happen. Kills the ultimate bad guy. At this point was the ultimate bad guy who had terrorized the universe.
Yeah.
He defeats him. They go back to Earth. They live the rest of their lives. Boom, it's done. That's a masterpiece, bro.
Yeah. Especially if they just tighten it.
Yeah, just cut out some of that filler.
Yeah.
If instead of it being like, 100 episodes at that point, if it was like 50 episodes, 50, 60 episodes, 3 seasons, boom, it's done.
Yeah. The only thing I can say in defense of those styles of anime and shows in general, I guess, is that there is something to spending all that time, even if it's time technically wasted on filler episodes, to fill out some of like the side characters, and nothing really happens. You just spend time with them, and they have some fun hijinks. There's still magic to that if the characters are good.
Yeah,
but it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, usually they're not. That's the problem. Usually you're watching these and you're just going, like, can we get back to the main story?
Yeah.
Why did we take this detour?
Yeah.
I mean, there's whole websites dedicated to here's your watch list. Here's how you skip the filler. I mean, if those filler episodes were good, you wouldn't need a watch list.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's loyalists who are like, I'm watching the whole thing. Excuse me, and I don't care how long it
all
takes.
matters.
Yeah.
Matters to me, damn it.
Neon Genesis Evangelion is a show that is devoid of filler.
Yeah.
That is 26 tight episodes of every episode it's like, what?
I almost don't want to get super into it.
Yeah, it would be a disservice to people who haven't watched it.
Right. So we're gonna try not to spoil much about it, just to give you a chance to see it. But I mean, I want to say, like, the amount of bait and switch that show does is legendary.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And I didn't know that you were watching it, but I'm really glad you're pairing it with your watch through of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, right. I don't know what I'm doing to myself.
There are so many parallels that I could really go down a nerdy rabbit hole on right now, but I'm not going to. But it's a show about absurdism and existentialism cosplaying as a giant robot show.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I had remembered the show. I remember as a kid watching, when you're a kid, you just watch whatever the fuck is in front of you, right? So they're big mech robots, but they look like ninjas. The way that they're animated is doing like research on it, they were based off of Oni, Japanese demons and stuff, right?
Yeah, they're not very robotic.
No, they're not boxy and somebody said Gundam robots look like European knights or samurai.
Yeah,
really regal.
Yeah,
and the mechs in Neon Genesis, they're very sleek, they're fast, they're agile, they're ninjas. And that shit was just dope on its surface, just robots that move like that. I was like, it's fucking dope. So when you're a kid, you watch that shit and you're just like, that's all this is. And all the other stuff just right over your head.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about any of that other stuff.
There's a penguin.
Cute little penguin. Flash some anime titties. You just
penguin?
Like, this is awesome. The penguin flashes his and you're just like, this is the best. This is a good show.
Yeah.
And when you watch it as an adult, a sad adult.
Oh, it's a lot.
Like, bro.
It's a lot.
It is almost too much. There's moments where you're like, I don't know if I can keep watching this. This is hitting too close to home. This is I've asked these questions. I've had these thoughts.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I read that the person who created the show, he was using the show as a vehicle to explore those things. He was going through some personal stuff, and he used the show itself to ask those questions that he was asking himself, that he was exploring Freud and Carl Jung and all of these ideas, and
Carl
Carl Jang,
and
he was exploring all of these concepts and stuff, right? And he was using the show as a vehicle for that, which is, I mean, super clever and such a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it's sugar with the medicine.
Yeah. But fuck, is it some medicine, man?
Yeah. Well, it's like a mixed drink that hasn't been mixed yet. You know, like you come from the top and it's all sweet, and then by the very bottom it's all like, 80 proof.
Yeah.
And you're strapped for life.
Dude, towards the end, that the bottom just falls out of that show, and you're just like,
what? I did the same thing. I immediately was like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's spoiling anything to reveal to people that the last couple of episodes they're infamous now for how controversial it was at the time. The show came out in 95. So at the time, to do all of this with a TV show, and then at the end left turn so hard.
Yeah.
And then just leave people with, there you go.
That's it.
That's how I felt
It's
like
over.
ending it. And just, apparently, excuse me. Apparently he was sent death threats.
Oh my God.
And this was real death threats, not Twitter, kill yourself death threats. Like, I'm coming to your house. I'm going to find you. If you don't, this was like Misery type shit. If you don't rewrite this shit, I'm fucking you up next time I see you. And he was just like, live with it.
Yeah.
Sorry. With it. And I heard that there was also like time constraints and budget constraints and stuff that forced him to do that, which again, I mean, we've talked about this 1,000 times, but limitations breeding art, him having to work within those confines and then creating what is, I mean, probably the most polarizing finale ever in an anime, probably in TV.
One of them.
I still don't know how I feel about it. I've been thinking about it ever since I finished it, and I watched the TV movie End of Evangelion as like a companion piece. Yeah, and even that, I'm like, this didn't help. This only it filled some holes, but I'm on the fence as to, did I even need those holes filled, or should I just be tortured by what he did with the original show? Yeah. Like one part of me is a person who is just like any other theater goer or movie watcher, where I'm like, I want a satisfactory ending. So don't do any of this weird creative shit. Don't subvert my expectations. Make it fun. So I walk out of the theater going, that was nice. Let's go get something to eat.
It was a good time.
But then my other half is, please subvert my expectations. Why did I spend money if you're not going to do something interesting and maybe heartbreaking? But I need to see that. I need to be challenged.
Yeah.
So that show hits both halves of that. Of like, I need a satisfactory ending. But do I?
Yeah, yeah.
Do I even deserve a satisfactory ending?
You're supposed to walk away feeling that, so I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yep.
Just couldn't. Yeah, so I and apparently that's, you know, it was one of those it was like a culture shift, a culture change in Japanese animation and in the entire Japanese animation industry. It was this movement of like
open the door for weirder stuff.
Yeah, because at the time they were in a slump. They were just doing run-of-the-mill shit.
Yeah.
And then this comes along and they're like, oh, we can do cool shit. We can do interesting things.
Let's hurt people.
Let's hurt people.
Yeah.
Let us subvert their expectations in ways that makes them feel pain. So, does that sound like a good time?
I think so.
You're a tortured soul, Adam.
I know. I love it. I love it.
So I would suggest you can go on Netflix right now, watch the TV movie and the entire series.
Entire series first. The TV
definitely watch a
conclusion.
And then I think there's a couple of the because they've made like 5 or 6 movies now.
I think the only other one on Netflix is like a wrap up of the entire series.
Yeah. No. Don't need that.
No.
Don't need to rehash that.
What they've done more recently is they've actually started redoing the entire series from the start, like with new animation.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So, and I've heard that they've like changed some stuff around and given it a bigger budget and stuff like that, but I haven't seen any of it, so I can't really speak to it.
See, here's the thing. There's moments like this isn't a spoiler. There's moments in the end where as the character is kind of exploring, I'm trying not to reveal anything. As he's kind of exploring these existential questions, the show, like the animation changes, and you go from like highly detailed to really, really shoddy animation. And I assume now, having done the research, that this was part of those budget constraints, but at the same time, given the context of the show, it actually works with what he's going through and what he's thinking about and what he's trying to, take apart.
Yeah.
It works. So I would hate for them to go back and go, well, now we have money, we can show you what we really. It's like, but it works. I like what you did with it.
It falls directly into what we were talking about, right? Like, artists going back and editing things because they can.
Tinkering with things. It's just like, maybe you just, I know for me personally, if I could go back and re-release old material, as skilled as I feel that I am now, with a bigger budget, would I do that? Probably, honestly. As an artist, like sometimes there's things that you've done where you're like, man, if I could have just done it the way that I wanted to do it.
There's always something that you can look at and go, that could have been better.
Yeah.
Always.
But then that's why you need someone else to go, leave it alone. And if you give George Lucas $1 billion and he's like, well, now I have the money, I'm going to go back and add some fucking tauntauns in the background because I thought they needed to be there.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. And
then the tauntauns going to be enjoying the Coke.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine And I don't know if I like that future.
Luke slices his stomach open. It's
just cans of Coke.
Full of Coke.
Oh yeah, he's not bleeding. It's just Coke just falls out. And he just gets in. He's like, delicious.
Just what I needed.
This is Mark Hamill providing some shitty voiceover.
This is great.
He seems like he'd do it.
I think so.
I think if they asked him, if they gave him enough money, he just,
yeah. Why not?
No,
he accidentally
no
does.
offense. It just seems
No.
like he would do it, dude.
He accidentally does the Joker voice.
Yeah, that's scary. That's a scary future when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time
Sure.
before you get to the point where, I mean, capitalism just it takes over everything. Making money off of things is always gonna supersede the thing, the art of the thing, the idea of the thing. It's always going to be, well, how can we monetize this? How can we make money off of this thing?
Which is the perfect time to say we are looking for sponsors. Coca-Cola, call us.
We promise to not do like long ad breaks.
Yeah.
I would like to do it like Joe Rogan does, just 10 minutes in the beginning of the show.
Yeah, a full solid block of time.
Mid-roll ads kill me.
Yeah.
I'm watching something on YouTube and we're going to take a break from this pod. I know you were laughing at that joke, and I know we really hit on something there, but we're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about Squarespace.
Maybe my favorite ad reader is Marc Maron.
Yeah.
Because he'll just be talking about existentialism, loss, life, and then jump into Squarespace.
He'll just roll into it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wait, this was an ad? No, yeah, that's perfect.
It's fun.
It's perfect how he does that. I don't like the, on YouTube now they do like the big banner where an ad is.
Yeah.
That wasn't good though. I don't think that's a good idea because I'll just scrub right past it.
Mm-hmm.
So give us your, any sponsors want to jump on the show. We'll make sure that people can't scrub past your ads because we'll make them entertaining.
Bing.
All right. There was something else. There was one more thing, wasn't there? PlayStation.
All right, PlayStation.
Yeah. How do you like that hard
PlayStation
hard turn into a into a bit?
No segue zone.
No. We'll bring some. We'll bring back the. We'll have like musical cues and stuff.
Okay.
One day,
Okay.
and we can bring all that stuff back. We'll
Yeah.
have a musical cue that just says, "We're going into something else now."
Okay.
And I have no idea how to get there. We're just gonna go.
I want it to just be one of us saying that over music. We're going into something else now.
Don't know how to get there, and here we go. So yeah,
PlayStation. They recently made a very bad decision, as we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to stop selling games for PS3 and Vita.
Yep.
And that, even though we are a couple generations removed, angered everybody.
A lot of people.
Yeah. Me included, as a Vita diehard.
Yeah.
But just this week, they decided to reverse that.
Yeah. So they're going back now on what they announced, and they are going to continue. They're going to keep the PS3 and Vita stores open for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
They are still closing the PSP store.
Yeah. Understandable, though.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I don't think people realize to get a company like PlayStation to reverse course on something like this, that's not a brash decision that they made to shut those stores down. I mean, they were ready, willing, and able to move on.
Yeah.
And just say, we're done with that shit. We're done with it. And even to that point, when people pushed back initially, they were like, look, we're done. So we're done with it.
Get over it.
Yeah. They were just, people brought it to their attention and they were like, we understand your concerns, but it has to do with the market and all this stuff. Remember the fucking guy from Sony America? He was just like, look, people aren't buying these games, so I don't know what
I think that was
you'd
Jim
say.
Ryan from PlayStation.
So they initially were like, look, complain all you want. We have the numbers to reflect that you guys don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess they went back and they were like, maybe they give a fuck more than we thought they give.
I guess they care. Yeah.
Which is just an amazing thing because the optimist in me says, hey, look, they listen to fans. The pessimist to me says they never listen to fans. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that they reversed course was because they're going to make more money off of this. Keeping those stores open keeps eyes on Sony. This whole stunt just makes people believe that Sony listens to fans, and it creates positive feedback for them.
And I think, I don't even think it's a thing about them making more money off of Vita and PS3.
No, just making more money overall by keeping people. By
Sure,
going like, look
sure.
at us. We listen.
Yeah.
We're
think,
a company that cares.
I think that's what reversed the course. It's not that, because I'm sure that they had the numbers to support that. Nobody's really buying these games anymore. Let's shut it down.
They wouldn't have done it in the first place if they didn't have empirical evidence that said it's not worth it.
Yeah, and it says right here in the statement, it was born out of a number of factors, including commerce support challenges for older devices and the ability for us to focus on our resources on newer devices where a majority of our gamers are playing on. Mm-hmm. So forget about the old, in with the new.
Yeah.
But the PR nightmare that this announcement was, I think, was all it took for them to go, all right, we'll keep it open.
Yeah.
Because there's an intangible thing about them keeping those stores open. And it's because, on a PS5, I can't play PS1 games, which I can on PS3 and Vita still. Mm-hmm. So them suddenly closing that door off is like them closing the library to an entire generation of games that a ton of people can't play anymore.
Yeah, but if you're a guy, if you're working at Sony, you just have to think like, who gives a fuck?
I know, but then they found out a lot of people do.
Apparently, I didn't think. Honestly, when this first popped up and we talked about it, and you brought it up, I was just like, in my head, I'm thinking like, well, they don't care. Who cares? To them, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
like the money that it obviously takes to keep that store open, to keep PS1 games on the market, just for people to go back and enjoy, to them is like, it's not worth it. It's not worth the trouble.
Yeah.
Although I don't know the inner workings of something like that, obviously, but I wonder how much resources does it actually take to keep something like that open? Obviously not too much.
But at the same time, enough for them to want to remove.
Right. Enough for them to want to remove, but not enough that they were able to reverse course and just go, fuck it, we'll bite the bullet on that. We'll eat that loss.
Yeah.
Because it's not much of a loss, obviously.
Yeah.
If a company like Sony is like, we're good with that, we'll take that L.
They had to have crunched the numbers and figured that the good PR would be enough to, keep them afloat.
Yeah. But then, okay, so now what? 2023 rolls around and they go, hey, we're bringing this back to the table. Or do you think they just leave it open indefinitely?
If I was a betting man, I'd say we'd get until 2025.
Yeah.
And then even then, I think by 2023, maybe they make an announcement. Hey, we're glad you guys went back and enjoyed all those games. Just so you know, we're sunsetting these consoles, so enjoy them while you can. Yeah. And then, you know what? Maybe that gives them enough time to plan something for PS5 functionality. And they can go, we have the PS1 library open now. Mm-hmm. So we understand you want to cherish these games. Do you love it? I don't understand how they didn't get this ahead of time. Yeah. Because it just makes perfect sense. Especially without backwards compatibility being a thing for them. For them to just acknowledge the old games still matter. We know there's an entire generation of you guys, the old bastards who enjoy playing Twisted Metal 3. Yeah. This is still important to us because it's important to you. Here's a way to play the games. I think that's what they're going to do. That'd be my guess.
Sony's reluctance to include backwards compatibility on all of their next-gen consoles is flabbergasting to me. I just will never be able to wrap my head around. I understand if you tell me, well, it forces you to buy new games. Does it? Does it?
Yeah.
Because they're not making a new Twisted Metal game.
Right.
So it didn't force me to buy the PS5 version of Twisted Metal Black. I just want to go back and play the old one.
Yeah.
And if you don't let me do that, it's like, well, fuck, man, that's a strike against this new console.
Yeah.
The idea that it could be anything but a net positive for a company that in the gaming industry, positive PR means something.
Means a lot.
Yeah.
Means a lot.
I just don't understand why they've made it such a big deal. It would be one thing if I understand like they want to get PlayStation Now really popping, and they haven't been able to do it in a way that I know that they want to.
Right.
I know that they want PlayStation Now to be like a booming service for them.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to include all of the best games, and then those games are shoddy and suck when you try to play them, it's like, well, you're obviously not putting enough resources into making this the best that it can be. So either include backwards compatibility or bump up your resources dedicated to PlayStation Now. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah. They, in my view, they bet on a dying horse when they paid all that money for Gaikai, the streaming service that allows them to do the PlayStation Now service. So they're kind of stuck in a hard place here because they're trying to sell this thing as best they can, but without you having a top tier internet connection, which a large portion of the US doesn't have, it's not going to work. It's just plain not going to work. And the intangible PR bonus that Xbox gets by saying it's literally so simple to be backwards compatible with our system. Literally put the disc in. That's all you got to do. Yeah. And it works.
I mean, it means something to a lot of people.
It's huge. And then Game Pass on top of that.
Yeah.
You know? Like the value of Game Pass is just flabbergasting.
When you talk to people who are Xbox faithfuls, that's one of the first things that they bring up.
Yeah.
Well, backwards compatibility, Game Pass, and you're like, I can't really argue on that. I can't really argue.
Yeah, if PlayStation didn't have their exclusives, I'd jump ship.
Yeah. Yes. If I wasn't just so ingrained in their ecosystem at this point, and their exclusives are they're just top-notch games. Yeah. If they didn't have that, if I could play Last of Us on an Xbox, I would have an Xbox right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Me too.
So
these hoes ain't loyal.
These hoes ain't loyal. So I just don't get it. I don't get it from an industry standpoint, from a money-making standpoint, from just a PR standpoint. I don't get the reluctance to just go, here you guys go.
It's a choice. It's a strategic choice, and they are making that decision in order to try to frame it as not being important. But that's not, I don't think even that's what the general consumer likes to hear anymore.
No.
Because I know us dorks who've been playing games forever obviously don't like to hear that their old games that they grew up playing aren't important anymore.
Yeah.
But, to Joe Blow, who's getting the console, for his kid and him to play, I think even that's seeped down to them because he's now currently our generation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And has to buy a $70 game to get this thing off the ground. If you could somehow, again, if they put more emphasis on PlayStation Now and got it to a point where it was more viable, I think it makes sense to not do backwards compatibility. But I mean, I get their line of thinking is like, look, we're on the 6th generation of this thing. How long do you guys want to play PlayStation 1 games? It's like, this is your fault for making good PlayStation 1 games. What do you want us to do?
Sorry, our childhoods were good. Okay?
Right, I want to relive that shit.
Yeah. It's funny to think back, though, because that was one of the things my dad, even as like a complete non-gamer, I mean, he got a NES back in the day.
Yeah.
Right? And played Pong. But one of the only things I told him about a new video game system that made him go, oh, wow, is that it plays old games too. Yeah. He's like, oh, that's great. It's so much value.
That is universal.
Keep playing all the old ones too.
That is universal to everyone, especially old immigrant dads.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think about that factor, but I was thinking of it from more of an emotional side. But no, that makes perfect sense too, like economically.
Yeah. Wow. That's how you convince somebody to buy something. It's like, oh, you can also play the old games on it too.
What are you doing?
Oh, the value of that is astronomical. Of course I'll buy that.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
I don't get it.
it looks like they've reversed course. Maybe they'll get the hint that people actually care about backwards compatibility, old games.
Yeah, PS6.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'll be able to play
The Legend of Dragoon.
The Legend of Dragon.
What was his thing? He had a saying, right? Flame on.
Flame on.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think he does say that.
Flame on.
Why?
I don't know. Who can say?
Is that one of the worst rap names ever? Drag on.
Drag on, yeah.
Drag on.
Drag dash on.
Drag dash on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get it?
Like
I'm
a dragon.
But not.
Yeah.
Like drag on.
Imagine dragons.
Dragons. if that's how Oh, did you hear in the new Game of Thrones? They're finally introducing the dragons.
Yeah. It's great.
Cracks the egg of the dragons. I had
You're a wizard, Harry.
when I was a kid, I had like 100 rap names. I was just coming up with different things that they were all really like they ranged from like ironically good to unironically just terrible. And I remember
Dookie
one of them
stinks with 3 X's.
Yeah, I remember one of them being BNOC for binoculars.
Oh, okay.
So I could see, you know what I'm saying? I could see the game like,
yeah.
but it was BNOCs.
And
And that's what I think about. That's a drag on level. I just admitted that about myself.
We should.
So let's get out of here. Yeah, we should.
Beer.
We're talking too much about personal stuff like that.
BNOC.
People should know things like that.
Okay.
Don't call me BNOC.
BNOC.
It was a short-lived name. I didn't even write any songs under the name. It was just for a while. I wrote like a verse, and then I was like,
the songs were crushed by the immense weight of that name alone. How could they stand a chance?
Right. They couldn't live up to how
No,
good that name
no
was,
way.
so I had to change it. Right.
Failed.
This is why, as an artist, I just go by my government name.
That's fine. Yeah.
So, before we get out of here, we have to review these brews. Tonight's brew was from Tactical Brewing Company with a collaboration with Point Ybel. You can't see that.
BLARGG.
I'll put like fire behind it. BLARGG. A lava chocolate cake Imperial Stout conditioned on chocolate and vanilla, 13% ABV. Obi, what did you think of this beer?
I think I need a little more. Is what I think. It's very good. It's very good. Very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Strong enough that I do get a bit of that alcohol, almost like the fume.
Yeah,
in there.
It's like another layer of that. It's like a film. It's like in it and over it.
Yes.
Of it.
You can almost like see it. You know. Like,
yeah.
So wafting off of the beer itself.
Yeah. It's like if you set fire to it, like it would burn on the surface.
Yeah.
It's just that alcohol on the surface.
Picture like wavy propane over the beer.
Yeah.
You know.
Like an oil spill in water, but not like a bad oil spill. Just that purplish
surface
hue to the
yeah. Any more analogies? Are we good?
No, I think we got it.
Okay.
I think we got it.
All that being said, very decadent, as we said originally. Very decadent, very sweet. She a thick girl.
Mm-hmm.
All that being said, yeah, super enjoyable.
She's a thick girl. Slap that ass.
Okay.
Sorry. It's 13%. I'm sorry.
It is. All that being said, I really, really enjoyed it. It's a bit too decadent for my flavor. I'm getting a little quiver in my stomach because it's so creamy.
Yeah.
That it's making me worry.
Uh-oh.
But it's not. It from all I can see, it has no lactose in it. But it's that level of thick and creamy.
Yeah.
That it scares me.
Yeah.
It scares me like the Dragon.
The Dragon.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
That's a scary drag on there.
It is. I'm gonna give it 4.5. Very good though. If you're especially if you're a fan of the thick, decadent, dessert-like beers, I think it's really up your alley.
Yeah. I think I'll give it a 4. I mean, I'm a big stout guy, obviously. I've said it 1,000 times. Imperial stouts really get me going. But I think this is a beer that's best enjoyed amongst friends. And it's not something, you don't do multiple rounds of this. You get this bottle, you pour everybody a little bit, you have a taste, you go, oh, that's interesting. That's really, wow, they really did something with that. That really does taste like a lava cake. Wow, I can't believe they achieved what they were going for with this. And so kudos to them. Anytime a beer company talks, you'll get notes of pine cones and rubber hose and things of that nature, and you don't get those notes, you go, I mean, you failed.
Where
You're
are
like,
they?
yeah, I was looking for that. I was going for that.
Yeah.
So, to their credit, this tastes as they intended it. That's the gift and the curse of this beer, though, because I couldn't imagine having another glass of this. It's so
That's fair.
decadent. Yeah. It's like having a big piece. It's like having 2 lava cakes. It's like having a lava cake. You eat it and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't need another sweet thing for at least a month.
Yeah.
I can't even eat an M&M after this. Lava cake is
enough.
So I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's that. That's that on that, baby.
All right.
I think we're done.
I think we're
Do
done.
you think we're done?
I think we're done.
As long as you think that it's over.
I know it's over.
Well, then it's over. This has been the One Baron Podcast for myself, Marco Dupa, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
BLARGG.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer. Like, share, and subscribe everywhere podcasts are listened to. And always, always, always have a beautiful evening.
We love you.